On today's show, the life and times of Bryan Hansel, a photographer with an eye for all images outdoors.
If it's negative 30 out, I love it.
We discover a destination on the map, but well off the grid. Find out why these remote Minnesota shelters attract so many guests.
Wow.
And a winter fishing opener like few others around.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's adventure.
Up first, we take a look at some of the most beautiful photos we have ever seen.
Yeah, they are the work of photographer Bryan Hansel. Snapshots at 10 below zero in the dead of winter can sure be a challenge. But to outdoor photographer Bryan Hansel, winter is his favorite season to shoot, his specialty in fact.
I'm a winter person, so we moved up north to get into colder temperatures. So yeah, like if it's negative 30 out, I love it.
Bryan earned a reputation as an award-winning landscape photographer. His pictures have graced hundreds of pages in magazines, including National Geographic and Outdoor Photographer.
So I spend about 100 days a year on the road teaching photography. Last year, just as an example, was everywhere from Death Valley to the Smoky Mountains, Black Hills, Tetons, you name it in a national park, I'm kind of hitting it.
But in order to learn this, you must start here.
My name is Bryan Hansel, a professional photographer that lives here in Grand Marais and teaches workshops all over the country.
Bryan takes his craft from the field to the classroom, a way for him to share wisdom with students.
Rule number 1, there are no rules. Rule number 2, there are no rules. Rule number 3, if anyone tells you there's rules, see rule number 1 and 2. It does require
I have this belief that, you know, if I could create interest in the outdoors and get people out there and excited about it, that would equal more protection for the environment and the outdoors. With the skills that I have, the best way I can do that is through photography.
First test in the field, shooting sunsets.
We'll walk over and look at the lighthouse and see how big the waves are hitting it. If they're pretty big, I think that's where we'll set up. Right now we're at the Dog Pound. It's in the Grand Marais, Minnesota campground right on Lake Superior. And we're watching sunset over the Sawtooth Mountains. Those make a good foreground. It's just a little concern that the waves are going to be splashing you up there.
Bryan is fabulous with sunrise, sunset. He's a tripod guy. There's some other people I do workshops with that are not tripod people, and so they're more, if you don't catch the moment, you're gonna miss it. And if you're setting up your tripod, you're missing it, you know, and so it's good to get the different perspectives.
And he's an excellent teacher.
If you want to do some foreground element shots, up on this platform is good.
And that's what I really enjoy about his workshops is he knows cameras.
One day in the books, Bryan and his students gear up for day number 2, a full day in Bryan's outdoor classroom.
Right now we're in Devil Track River Canyon, so it's about 5 or 6 miles from Grand Marais. Some people like to call it the Grand Canyon of the North. The cliff faces are 200 feet tall. It's about 30 feet wide. Feels like it should be elsewhere, but here it is in Minnesota. All right, you guys, so we're entering kind of a more dangerous part of the river. Something to keep in mind is you could potentially fall through this ice.
I've done more stupid things as a photographer than I did as a teenager. I take risks that I didn't take as a teenager because I want to get that shot.
If you were to move the transition further this way, you have more motion. Yeah, this section of the icicles.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty cool. One of my mentors told me, you're not being a teacher unless your students are learning. If they're not learning, you're just standing up in front of the class and talking. I've always taken that to heart. If I see the students excel and get better at their photos, it's just I'm doing what I should be doing.
From the looks of it, Bryan is doing just that.
People that see my work will say, hey, you're really getting better. I can see you've developed over the years.
Hey, don't forget you can rewatch that story plus all your favorites on the Minnesota Bound YouTube channel. All of our episodes are published there. Coming up next, a winter destination worth a visit, but you'll have to earn it just a bit.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, Rapala, Star Bank, and by Ice Castle Fish Houses.
A lot of people are looking to try and get away during these, well, curious times, right? Up next, a destination you may not know about, but you probably should. Have you ever heard of a yurt? Wicked are the winters of Minnesota. Even so, some people choose to explore. Exactly why Glendalough's gates stay open.
This is my 21st year here, and I've seen the park grow immensely during that time. It's no longer quite the secret it was.
Glendalough sits tucked away in central Minnesota, a pristine park made up of prairies and lakes. Time to get out of the car clothes. We visit for the trails, more specifically, where they lead. Well, it's 32 and sunny, and we've got a 2-mile trail. We should probably go see what it looks like.
And in the winter, we have have really nice skiing trails.
The lake's still there, maybe halfway.
We get the cross-country skiers and the snowshoers, which are ever increasing every year. It's a 2-mile hike. We do pack a trail so they can walk it. We do provide sleds so they can pull a sled.
We wind through maple forests on the Annie Battle Lake Trail. I see something. Whew. We come for adventure, but stay for the yurt. A home away from home of sorts. Wow. Huh. Winter camping, huh?
There's only 3 parks that have the yurts. They have soft sides. If you're in a yurt, you're hearing everything. You're hearing the owls at night. You're hearing the coyotes howling. You get to hear all those nature noises while you're in the yurt. In the winter, they're heated with a wood stove, so it's a little more primitive, and that's kind of goes with the theme of our park. It's pretty nice and peaceful.
Because these shelters sit along Annie Battle Lake, designated and protected as a Minnesota Heritage Lake.
The Heritage Lake refers to special regulations that don't allow any types of motors on the lake, not even electric motors. There's no electronics.
This is the definition of fishing blindly.
You can't use cameras or fish finders, or even you're not supposed to use GPS. The idea was to create a fishing experience that was similar to what it would have been like 100 years ago.
It is desolate.
And it's really nice because you can fish out there. It's always very quiet. Really, there's enough fish in that lake all over the place that most of the time you see the fishing pressure is really spread out.
I'm 0 for 2 on Heritage Lakes. Out here, alone, you feel like the only person for 100 miles. Isn't that why we covet such spots? Strange to think that years ago, Annie Battle seemed a very different destination.
Glendalough was once owned by the Minneapolis Star Tribune. This was a hunting camp down here during the fall. Star Tribune would invite lots of their advertisers here for a weekend.
Other influential people loved Glendalough too.
The plaque was here. It says, "I come here often to find myself. It's so easy to get lost in the world."
The mantra of Glendalough, the perfect place to find yourself by getting lost.
There's nothing like it anywhere else in the state. Glendalough just kind of grows on you.
Coming up next, a fishing opener where you might just expect to find a few other people around.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Cass Lake Chain of Resorts.
Bait shops have been slammed with anglers hoping to hit the ice this winter. Definitely a pattern since COVID hit. But Travis Frank discovered one small lake that gets busy every winter. It's all about opener.
Courthouse Lake sits cold, quiet, and crisp. It might look like just another small Minnesota lake, but to those who know, a treasure awaits. In darkness, anglers race. For one day, this quiet little lake becomes the place to be. Trout opener is here.
Better than a sharp stick in the eye.
Johnny Nelson knows the drill.
It don't matter. Drill a hole, I'll jump in. You know, they just swim in a circle.
He never misses opening day.
I gotta say, since about 1972.
Same for his neighbor, Joel Drew.
3 minutes, fellas. Get your worms.
Just load up your treble. You know, a worm on each hook, let them dangle.
Fishing begins 1 hour before sunrise.
Well, let's see what happens.
Isn't it peaceful out here today, fellas?
It's like a wilderness setting. Got one there? Good. Now, Travis, they're not gonna jerk this out of your hand. Your line's gonna go sideways.
Lessons come early and often.
You got him? Oh, missed him.
Just like the trout.
Got him. Got him, boy. I gotcha.
Don't try to understand them.
I do. Oh, man. Look at that. Johnny.
There you got her.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you ain't that big. He'll work.
On the board. Nice job there, Johnny.
Thank you.
Yep, there we go. Oh my goodness. It's just one after another. It's like we're fishing in a stocked pond or something.
We are. It's a put and take lake, DNR, and they dropped 3,000 fish in here this fall.
Nice fish.
DNR is nice enough to put them in, and we'll take them.
The Fisheries Division has a management plan for Courthouse Lake. We designate it as a trout lake, and we make it a put and take fishery so that people have that opportunity to fish for a different species.
A look around proves their plan works.
Chaos. There's a lot of people out here.
Even with temps below zero.
Trout taste really, really good, and people don't really have that opportunity very many places.
It's the excitement, you know, and they're really squirmy, so to see that there's a lot of people that enjoy the same sport, you know.
Oh, it was a perfect day. Fishing trout, opening day. It's like a trout fisherman's Christmas. You wait all year long, and all of a sudden, here it is, the day, and you come out here and you get 5 little presents, have a good meal with your family.
Nice fish.
They're biting like wildfire. Well, you need to get one more, and then we got our limit.
Oh, like that guy?
About a half an hour, we got our limit.
Some come to fish, others to watch.
It tells people about how many folks are jammed onto this one little pond, and they're like, look at me goofy. I'm like, oh, I'll show you.
I like to eat them, and the wife likes to eat them. That's good enough incentive for me. Jesus. That might have been one of them big ones. Holy buckets, he hit like a ton of bricks. You like to eat fish, eat trout? It's a good place to come opening day. But just don't plan on being by yourself.
On a tiny city lake hidden behind a courthouse, trout lovers prove if you stock it, they will come.
Oh, absolutely, I'll be back.
Happy trout opener!
He's taken that one fairly well, isn't he, eh?
Up next, a Minnesota-bound classic all about introducing chaps and chapettes to winter fishing.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Treasure Island Resort and Casino, Hewitt Docks Lifts and Pontoon Lakes, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Today's Minnesota Bound Classic is all about introducing people to one of our all-time favorite winter pastimes.
Long ago, Ron Shera hit the ice with a bunch of Brits who wanted to discover what life on a frozen lake was all about.
This is something very commonly used in the wintertime up here. We just simply refer to it as a tip-up, just because of the fact that when you have a fish on or you get a bite, it flag tips up, you know.
A lesson in ice fishing.
So as you have a visual thing as well. You can be inside the house, you look out, oh, flag up.
While Minnesota anglers may find this hard to believe, trying to catch fish through the ice is viewed by most of the world as a strange sport.
Can you tell me how when you have a bite on the line, how you reel them in?
A group of British travel writers recently ventured to Minnesota to explore our winter pastime.
I'm just amazed how warm it is here. Like they said, Minneapolis, you know, coolest of all states, and I thought it's going to be, as it cool, you meant really cold, but it's turned out to be really warm. Okay, right. Oh, you had to spit it out. Oh, I didn't realise. I thought you meant to eat that bit.
Jumping in.
Minnesota's fish seemed to understand. They had to put on a show.
You got him.
Yeah, he's a...
Hey, way to go.
Yeah?
All right, you're the hot
He's taken that one fairly well, isn't he, eh? We went to a place called, we would say Mille-Lac, but they pronounce it Mille-Lac. And there we've been getting some really big fish. And we stayed all night in a fishing house, you know, sleep on it. And they have these, I don't know if these little, and the ones we have had bells in, so it goes jing, 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 jing when you're fast asleep. Oh, God, what's that, you know? I think it's terrific, and it's great. I mean, if you're a fisherman, what are you going to do in the winter? And you don't just catch little fish here, you can catch very big fish. What I saw on Mille-Lac was that there's some really big fish out there, and you can catch them. Now, pull it up hand over hand. Yeah.
Oh, no, he's gone.
Go on, no, kick it. Is it sure? No, it might be swimming towards you. It's still there, it's still there. It's still there. Keep pulling it quite fast, that's it. Keep the line nice and tight, that's it.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah, well done, well done. Hey! Well done.
So are the Brits convinced Minnesota anglers are sane?
It's very weird. It feels very strange to be sitting out in the middle of a lake. Quite an eerie experience, but it's certainly very difficult for us to comprehend because we just don't get this kind of weather at home.
Someone's telling me about this governor's fishing tournament, which they said is very funny and a great crack. So who knows, maybe I'll be back this year to do that.
Oh, wait till they meet Jesse.
Okay, give it to me. Let's hear your best British accent.
I think you should go first.
Right.
Is that British or Irish?
That's something. Well, that about does it for us. We hope to see you back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
At those.
pretty good.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433.